You have to be worried about a gator in your living room. Like, that is bonkers. Versus, like, shoveling the stoop. I gotta be honest with you. I feel like we get a pretty fair end of that bargain. You know, it's just, there's an offset no matter where you go. You know, I hate the winter. I love Ohio. Ohio in the summer and fall, honestly, you would almost need the jaws of life to pull me out of it. Once we get in the snow, I'm like, oh, that's right. I've lived in places where that doesn't do this. Why am I? But, like, when you think about some of the other offsets, don't get me wrong. I mean, the taxes, you know, that situation in Florida, that part kind of sounds nice, but gators in the living room? Forget the living room. Forget the hurricane. Like, those things are, it's a good thing about Ohio. You have to be worried about it a lot less. But I wouldn't like that about Florida. I mean, you can take the hurricane out of it, you on the kayak in your own living room, you know, hoping that there's not a natural predator, you know, just swimming at your ankles right there. That would be nightmarish, right? So forget that. It's like now Friday evening. You've just done your 70 hours. You pull into the cul-de-sac. You go in there and you want to take a dip in your like little pond of a pool in your backyard. And there's just a gator just like laying at the bottom of the pool. And you're just like stuck, right? You can't go out there like it's a neighbor kid and negotiate with it and be like, I'm calling your parents. Get out. I mean, right? You're just kind of, it's like you paid all this money and now you don't get access to it because of like an animal. That's bonkers. Like when I lived out west, you could deal with like a mountain lion or something like that coming down, but you just kind of wait it out and then you'd be all right. Or get the rifle and shoot it. The gator is a different thing. That's I don't like how I have to encounter one of those, fight it, battle it off my property. I'm not a fan of it. I think it might have been the boat trip I took. I did one of those fan, like what were those things called? The fan boat things in New Orleans. Oh, a gator tour. It was awesome. I mean, it was like you couldn't take your eyes off of it. But since, I haven't been able to get my mind off of it. Like, it's kind of one of those. I was watching that guy live stream. It's like, well, okay, so you go out west, right? All right, well, every other day, there's a little bit of an earthquake you can feel. Then you're just kind of waiting for the big one, right? Here comes Elizabeth. All right, Elizabeth, I'm on my way, right? Then there's that. When I lived in Oregon, it was like, all right, well, their slogan in that town I lived in is, it's the climate. It was some of the best weather you've ever had in your entire life. But then, you know, you get into fire season. It could not even be all that close to you, but you couldn't see 3 feet in front of you because the smoke was so thick and like you'd be choking. It's nuts. I look around like, what's happening? They're like, oh yeah, that's dude, half the forest is on fire. You're gonna be fine. I was like, wait, hold on, half the planet, we're on fire. And of course, yes, it's good. You got to let some of it burn and, you know, feed itself out. But like, that was no bargain either. You know, that was a little bit like no matter where you are. What I'm saying is it possible? Even with the snow, Ohio might be some of the best weather you can get. I also felt like when I lived in Oregon, there was no punishment for being alive. And this is what I mean. I feel like, you know, the winter sells responsibility. You know, I kept telling, I was like, this is why you guys have hippies. I was like, because the weather's so good all year round, everybody just thinks, it's like, look at this place, it's great, we're allowed to do whatever we want. I was like, winter sells responsibility. We have less hippies because of that. right? It's hard to be like, peace cells and all that stuff when you're saying, you know what I mean? When you got your snow boots on, stuff. It sells like tough. You know what I mean? Hard nose. I was like, yeah, we have less hippies because of that. There's offsets for all of that stuff. I thought about, as a kid, move to Florida, move here, move there, but I gotta tell you, I would move west again. I would move west again. Florida, though, like I'm reading stories now about, guys who were saying families who were like, yeah, we were from Chicago, we moved to Florida, we thought it was going to be great, but four evacuations in like 5 years, we were like, you know what, it's snow, it's not that bad, it's a little windy, we're going back home. Now, home is always home, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things. It's not just about weather, it's not just about this, it's also like, what you know, what's familiar, what feels normal to you and the like, but I got to be honest with you, man. The older I get, I have zero desire to live in a place where I may have to kayak in my own living room and fend off a gator. Welcome back to the program. 330-450-7625 to text in. Seems like more than a few of you agree that even if you had unlimited resources and decided to live in the United States, Ohio may be where you remain to stay, even with the cold weather. We were talking about it because I was watching this guy live stream on a kayak in the stories. About some people, in the comment section of that live stream, people were saying, oh yeah, we went to Florida because of the nice weather and all of that. But after 4 evacuations in a handful of years, we were like, okay, back to Chicago or New York or wherever it should be, right? My brother does it to me every year. It'll get really cold and he'll call, what are you doing? Well, I was trying to avoid this phone call is what I was up to. Is that, let me guess, in the pool, are we? Is that it, right? Dave, it's been 30 years, buddy. I know this call's coming. They love to brag about that, and then there's not really much you can say, oh, what, the heat? Because the heat in the summer can be a little unbearable, but it's not, I don't know, it's not hard to drive in. So you don't necessarily get the hurricane thing, which will make that easy. The earthquakes on the west, out west. Now, you deal with that a lot less in Vegas than you do in, like, California. It would be tough to get to live. Visit, yeah. It would be, I'm almost trying to figure out, like, where would I even want to be? Like, north of San Francisco, like real NorCal? Okay, but at that point, if I'm doing that, I'm just going back to Oregon. Right? 6 to 5 and pick them, and it's like, wow, then why? What are we doing here? Like, let's lottery money, this and that. The more I think about it, it's like, Ohio might be the right place to be. A little bit more land I'd want, a few less neighbors and all that. But we were talking about. It's impossible to do this job without butting up into a controversial opinion at times. And one of the ones I have that people just don't seem to like, I gotta be honest with you guys don't love this opinion, is that I'm not into the burial. Right, I'm into cremation. Now, plenty of you have, cremated your family members and plan to be cremated yourself and this and that. But, I've called it egotistical, burial. It does kind of feel that way, taking up land. It's not like we're creating it out of thin air, And so I've always been a little bit more about it. Now, I don't want you doing it at home. That seems bad. And Nucla, Colorado, apparently a man was trying to do a home cremation. Not of his wife, thank God. Although the story doesn't get that much better. Here's what happened. 63-year-old Brent Garber. He's accused of now starting a bucktail fire. Apparently this ignited early August, and it was the largest fire in the state at that point. Multiple acres of private property and at least one building were damaged during that fire. The good news, no evacuations ended up needing to be issued there. And apparently this was about the fact that he was trying to cremate his dog. So you know what happened here? Well, you don't, but I'll tell you. He dug a little bit of a hole, put the dog on top of some wood, placed it in the hole, and lit the dog on fire. Apparently, wind or what have you carries some, embers or whatever, and then next thing you know, there's a little ball. You put a spray can in there, and so that explodes. Wind takes that. Next thing you know, you got a tree next to you. It's on fire. Oh, look at this. Half the hillside now wrapped up. 63 years old. Dude had no idea that may be able to happen with a spray can. So I got a couple of questions here. Like I said, I'm pro cremation. I don't want to be doing it at home with the animals. And why did you need to burn the dog? Anybody else concerned by that? I'm a little concerned by having to burn the dog. Fine, you're not going to take the dog to the vet. You're going to handle it at home. It's middle of nowhere, Colorado. We handle our own. We shoot Old Yeller, right? We handle our own business. That's my horse. You think I'm going to pay somebody to put my own horse down? All right, fine, whatever. You're out there, chawing the side of the mouth, and you're going to, pull out the pistol or whatever you're going to do, put the dog, fine. Fine. Get the shovel, bury it, and then we're done. Why did we have to burn it? You're in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, where apparently you felt like it was okay for you to light a dead animal. Be enough. Why did we need to see
the Stansberry Show?
Any damn game or anything else? We'll join Sammy. 9 a.m. All right, so people really don't like when the musicians start weighing into the social issues of the day, right? Stay out of this stuff. Just sing this. And I would tell you that I actually prefer if it delivered through the art, because that is your voice, right? Whether you're a filmmaker, a singer, songwriter. Not that, of course, if one asked in an interview, like, nope, sorry, unless I sing, a song, I'm not allowed to give you my opinion on this. Right. I mean, I get that. Sometimes from the stage, a little too much of it can be like, I don't know, man, we pay for the ticket here and like a lecture. It's like, I don't know, man. Is this really what we should be doing? I mention it because you know who one of those people is that really can rub people the wrong way? It's Billy Joel of Green Day. He can rub people the wrong way, that fella, man. People get a little upset with him. And he, from the Bay Area, is more than a little upset about the fact that the A's are being pulled, they believe, out of Oakland. And they are, of course, now going to be relocated in Las Vegas. Now, a lot of people are upset about this. Obviously, the Bay Area, you don't want to lose a team. And we can sympathize, right? Let's not pretend when the Browns got yanked out of Cleveland, everybody was like, you know what, good. No, you know what, yeah, about time. This feels right. This is exactly what I wanted. Of course not. We hated that. I remember getting together with friends on and I'll never forget, it was in Ravenna, my buddy's deck, The Return in 1999. My buddy Sean, my buddy Jerry, me, freezing, kind of out of his deck, The Return of the 99, because people were so happy to have the team back. And so A's fans in Oakland are kind of dealing with that. Green Day kind of from that area, right? They hail from that region, if you will. I'm not exactly sure which city, so that's why I'm trying to be a little careful. So they're not happy about it. And they know a lot of their fans aren't happy about it. So they express their discomfort about it. Not only that they're unhappy that the A's are leaving, but upset about where they are going. And if you tell me this is Billy Joe's opinion of the city of Las Vegas, I would not be shocked by it. Here's what he said. I effing hate Las Vegas. It is the expletive hole in America. It is the worst, I think, S-hole in America. Now, I will say about Las Vegas, a polarizing place. It can be polarizing for people who have been there and been like, dude, I gotta tell you, it's not for me. And there are people who it's not going to be for. There is also, having had family who has lived there and seen much outside of the strip of Las Vegas as I have, that if more people went, you'd be like, oh, well, like, if I didn't realize this was here and that's here and this, there's like any other place. If you get past just the thing you know is there, you can find plenty about Las Vegas I think you'd like. Green Day, of course, has played the iHeart festivals in Las Vegas more than a couple of times. I know. I was made to promote it more than a couple of times, right? So, like, that I know. Now, where you will go to earn a paycheck, this and that, versus I'm sure there are plenty of cities. While on tour in a band, not Green, anybody, any band, where you're like, I gotta tell you, I don't think I'd come back here unless we were making money here, right? Like, I don't think I would do that. I've known plenty of radio guys who have worked 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cities who have all said, yeah, there's that one. I'm never going to do, unless, I'd go work there again. I don't necessarily want to, but I would. So we all have those places. That's fine. Of course, Las Vegas radio station's not happy about it. And they're going a little old school radio here, and they're yanking the Green Day off the playlist. At both KOMP 92.3 FM, The Cup, and KXTE 107 X 107.5. Now, The Comp has been in Vegas since like the mid-60s. And like their imaging used to be that 92.3, and you would hear like the slot machine jingle in the background. KOMP, The Cup. And if you have a station in Vegas, naming it The Comp is like, that's like the ultimate Vegas thing, right? I interviewed there. I forget when exactly that was, but I was like in need of a job, and I wanted that job so bad. I was like, well, geez, I got my family right here. I was like, this would be perfect. And of course, you know, the stars don't line up like that. Happier now. Leave me where I am now. I wouldn't want to leave here to go to the Comp. Like, I wouldn't want that. Out of work again, I would apply. And since their morning guy's name is Gooch, I think I probably would apply. But they're yanking the Green Day off the playlist. It's probably pretty smart. Works for a couple of reasons. Hey, you got radio guys talking about it throughout the country. Hey, look at radio people being radio people. So there's that. Beyond that, Green Day is going to be one of the more popular bands you play on your playlist. Right? Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains, Green Day. We all know who they are. And so now, all of a sudden, when you and radio can be a little repetitive, and there are reasons why it worked, right? So, but it can be a little repetitive. Now, all of a sudden, this thing that people hear maybe too often now is off your playlist for a little while. Pretty smart, right? And then all of a sudden, when they come back, we're like, all right, we'll make up with Green Day again. Here it is. All of a sudden, it sounds fresh again. Smart. Absolutely smart. This works on multiple levels. Multiple levels there. Also, one of those stations was going to be a lot less likely to play Green Day than the other, right? They are dipping too much into each other's pools, listening to them a little bit while I've been out there. And, I pay attention to that stuff, obviously, as I have family in that market. But I saw that story. A few of you asked me about it. What do you think about Green Day being yanked off these radio stations? I think, well, those program directors are actually pretty smart. That's exactly what they should have done in the light of that story.
The Stansberry Show.
I like his energy. He doesn't have any.
On Rock 106.9.
8:30 this morning, get you into the haunted schoolhouse on Laboratory. Not sure what to watch over the weekend. If you have Netflix, that Mr. McMahon docuseries was entertaining, to say the least. Finished that yesterday. It's pretty good. It was entertaining. Not all that great for Vince. One of the guys they interviewed him a little closer to the release. He said, yeah, I watched a few of this, and it felt like a hit job. And sure enough, the screen flashes. 2 days after he says this, Vince again charged yet again, right? Is one of those things. I think that guy's name was Bruce Pritchard.